how did you manage university and training and working at the same time? I'm getting exhausted. Well, Timo, let me tell you something. I hear you loud and clear. When I was younger and I was going through school and I was training and I was competing amateur, it was unbelievably strenuous on my body and mind. Now, I've never shared this with you guys, but I, at the age of 19, suffered. No, not 19. I must have been like 20, 21. Excuse me. I suffered from burnout. Like, my doctor diagnosed me with burnout. Now, what happened to me? I was at work and all of a sudden I had a headache, and I never get headaches. Back then I used to never get headaches. Now, once in a while. Okay. And I had this incredible headache. They just, boom, right, like it was 6:59 and I was feeling fine. 7 o'clock, boom, 7 o'clock sharp, boom, it hit me like a major headache. Like 1 minute ago, I was feeling fine. It just kind of hit me. It was a very surprising sensation. I never had it before. And my head was hurting so much. And then my eye, behind my eye, had a sharp pain behind my eye. Anyways, long story short, I went to the doctor and it was getting worse. I couldn't function anymore. I couldn't look at light. I was like really discombobulated all the time. And my doctor was like, hey, are you burning the candle at both ends? I'm like, yeah, well, this is what I do in a day. And he was like freaking out. I used to wake up in the morning and train. It's the first thing. I used to wake up in the morning and train. Then I would go to class like at 9:30 a.m. So I'd wake up really early. Then after class, I would study all day, write papers. I had to get rid of all my schoolwork in one day, done. Like during the day. Then I would go back to the gym at night and train. Finish long hours of training. Go back home and sleep and wake up early. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday I would work. I used to pump gas. I used to work at a gas station. 7 days a week I was busy. And I remember my father telling me, hey, you really got to slow down. You really got to slow down. You're gonna make yourself sick. And I was like, no, don't worry, Pop. I'm focused. I was very driven, super driven. And I was also training professional fighters as well. It was so incredibly dense. My life was so incredibly dense. In a day, it was just unbelievable. But then when I got sick, I had an onset headache, incredible migraines, pain in my eyes. I couldn't even look at light anymore. I was confined to a dark room all night long, all day long, all night long. I was sleeping 16 hours a day, 20 hours a day. I was just completely out all the time. I would go see my doctor, a doctor's appointment. They're trying to figure out what was wrong with me. Is it this or that? They had so many theories. Eventually, the doctor said, you know what? You were just burned out. Here are some pills. He gave me some pills. I don't even know what they were. I was really young at the time. I didn't do any research. I was just like totally out all the time. And it took me, I'm telling you, it took me years to get over it. Years. Now, after about like a month, I started getting back to my routine, like slowly, okay? But it took a long time before I felt normal again. It took a very long time. And if I ever missed a day of sleep, like let's say I was traveling, I would feel horrible. I would like stop what I'm doing. I would stop what training. I would take a day off. I'd go to bed early. Like I had a lot of respect for the need for my body to recover. So I don't want to scare you here, but I had like a major traumatic experience with burnout because my power was just gone. My power was just gone. I had nothing left. Like I would try to wrestle or I had no power. Now, of course, that was just for a brief period. Eventually, my strength came back, and I got back to where I am today. And like today, I can travel now, and it doesn't bother me as much. I feel normal again. But it took me, I'm no joke. It took me about 7 to 10 years, no joke, before I could miss my 8 hours of sleep and be okay anyway the next day. Because before, if I had a night where I slept only like 4 hours, let's say I had a bad night of sleep for whatever reason, I was sick or just maybe, I don't know, I wasn't feeling well. I just had a bad night of sleep, maybe whatever the reason may be. I would feel horrible the next day. I would be unable to function the next day. I would be like grumpy. I would have no energy. I would be like I couldn't think. You know, it's like if I had went the whole night without sleeping. And I was just completely off, completely thrown off. So my 8 hours of sleep became I became very strict with making sure I got 8, 9, 10 hours of sleep. Super strict. After I burn out, I became extremely strict with my sleeping patterns. Where now I'm more flexible. I'm much better now. Because if I missed an hour of sleep, I'd have headaches. I'd feel weak. It was like traumatic experience for me. Now, I would just tell you, make sure you get, if you're training, make sure you get 8 hours of sleep. And respect your body's needs for recovery. Really respect your body's needs for recovery. I really went overboard, personally. I really pushed my self to the extreme. Like I'm telling you, my training was extreme. My schedule was extreme. I was writing papers. Like, I mean, I was just really always full throttle. It was unbelievable. And I regret it. I regret doing that. It was just too much. I should have prioritized things, and I should have took, you know, after that, what happened with me is I finished my school, but I couldn't take a full workload anymore. So I was taking 4 classes a semester. I turned it down to 1 or 2 when I started coming back. And then I never went higher than 3 classes. I never took a full classes of semester. Never. Because it was just too much. My training, my traveling with the pros, it was just too much. And I'm the type of guy, I love to read. I love to study. Like, I still study to this day. Even though I'm not in school, I still read books. I'm fascinated. I listen to lectures. I find every which way to increase in knowledge. I love to learn stuff. Okay, but I really was doing it as you know, for grades. It's a different type. It's more of an aggressive type of learning. You know, you got to make sure that you're perfect in how you reiterate things. It's not at your leisure. So I regret it. I should have prioritized myself a little more, and that's why I learned so much about prioritizing. I can't say yes to everything. When I say yes to something, I have to say no to something else. There's always something else I have to say no to. And I do one thing at a time now. It's really important to me. It keeps my sanity, and it makes me more productive. So all the time I thought I was saving, I just ended up taking it all back. I had to take 2 classes a semester or 3 classes, never 4 again. I never did 4 classes again. So it took me a little longer actually to graduate. I was trying to graduate sooner. It ended up tripping me up and taking more time. So I was trying to save time. Trying to save time had cost me some time. I would say, look, there's a time and place. You can do both. However, you have to give up other things. Like, I give up going out. I give up, you know, time with my loved ones. I give up a lot. And I would get up early, and when I would commute, I would study. I mean, I just gave up a lot. I gave up a lot of, I mean, I still had, you know, social life or whatnot, but it was very minimal. It was very minimal. And it was for many years. I would say it was like 4 or 5 years. I was like really in solitude. But it was for a greater goal. I gave up a lot of other things. So like I say, you know, when you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. Now you have to ask yourself, what kind of life do you want to live? How bad do you want to become a jiu-jitsu master, a jiu-jitsu practitioner, a jiu-jitsu expert? How much are you willing to give? And how fast do you want it? Like, do you want it in 5 years or do you want it in 10 years? It's up to you, you know, and I think you should let things gravitate naturally. If you're the type of person that's pulled towards jiu-jitsu every day, 9 hours a day, go for it. Like, let that pull take you there. If you feel like, no, I want to do jiu-jitsu 5 times a week, and I want to make time for a social life, that feels better for me, do that. You know, do that. Don't try to go in any direction that's artificial. Don't try to go in any direction that's artificial, because you're going to end up in a world where, you know, you're just unhappy. I'm not saying that giving up your social life and your family life and all these things is a wise choice. I'm not saying that at all. I think for most people, it's not a wise choice. Live your life in a balanced way. However, there are certain individuals that they just have a pull. They're just being pulled to the art, to the sport. And, you know, today, I don't do like I used to. Today, for me, with my wife and kids, I'm very, very meticulous about having the time with my wife and kids. So for me, weekends, like for instance, the fights just happened this UFC, this past weekend. I did not watch the fights live. People are like, hey, did you see the fights? Not yet. Why? I had a family function. I was with my wife and children, family. We're spending time together. If I'm not at the fights, I'm not watching the fights. Okay. And if I'm watching the fights, my whole family's watching the fights. That's why I watch the fights. If not, I'll watch it the next day or the day after that. Why? Because family for me is so important. So I have to juggle what I do. Now, I'm all business. So if you come to the gym, you're going to see me twice a day. By the way, guys, if you want to come to the Tristar gym and you want a place to stay, there's the tsdorms@gmail.com email address. Write an email. Tell us what days you want to come in. They're going to send you back a quote. So tell them what they want to stay, 2 weeks, 1 week. What are my options? Jeremy will send you back a response and you guys will get a quote. Now, let's say you come to the gym. You're going to see me there in the morning. You're going to see me there at night. During the day, I'm training my kids. I'm with my wife and kids. And then when I'm done training practice at night, I'm back home. On the weekends, I'm religious with my kids and wife. There's nothing that I'll do that doesn't involve my family on the weekends. Like, the weekends is for my family. And of course, now my sons are old enough, they come to practice with me, which is great. And now that my daughter's a little older, my wife's going to start coming to practice. So the family goes to the gym. And that's how I do things. I try to make it all in one place. Now, it's all business when we go to the gym. Everybody's doing their thing. I'm training still very seriously, but we're together still. We have, good memories. We share in jiu-jitsu. Everybody in my family does jiu-jitsu. Everybody. Even if it's just a little bit, we all share into it. So it's fun.